I don't think that any of what I've been seeing lately is fair because I feel like this is what has happened to black people is that we've always been told to like persevere and to be patient. And some of us come from religious backgrounds where we try to pray all of our problems away, but we still keep running into the same issues. If it isn't issues around racism, it's issues around abuse and poverty and not having enough money or being mistreated in some type of way where you're marginalized or you're in some type of conspiracy where you find out that you were unaware that they weren't paying you fair wages. There's always something that comes up. There's always something. And there are some people who are fortunate enough that they're not in a situation where they don't have a lot, but that isn't everyone. A majority of people rely on cops to do their job and protect and serve their communities. But a lot of those poor communities or low income communities or communities where they have working poor or people who are just because they're black, they're accused of things that they didn't do. And so they get treated harsh and they will be attacked, murdered, brutally beaten. There's lots of things that we've seen. And, you know, when they started this thing where they were using the body cameras, there are some cops that don't even use those cameras. Now, I'm not saying that other people don't have issues with the police, but normally when I'm looking at these issues, it looks as though there's a majority of black people who are always the ones that end up getting killed and they're unarmed. And this is a huge problem. And I know they have went through protests and they've addressed it, but more recently, the cop that was involved in the killing of Philando Castile in Minnesota was allowed to walk free. And I'm going to say that he's a murderer. He murdered that unarmed man, and he had no right to do it. And I feel that it's unfair. And I know some people are afraid to stand up and speak out and to talk out because they're in fear that maybe something will happen to them. But the truth is right in front of us. It's before us. We see this in real time on national TV. There's no hoax about any of this. People are being killed. They're being slaughtered or murdered or brutally attacked by bad police officers. There is bad policing and policing where they have officers who aren't trustworthy. And so there's too many people that go around and they try to sugarcoat things and they try to say, oh, not all police are bad. Don't give police a bad name. We need to start trusting the police. But if you come from a culture where the police look at you as an enemy, even if they don't even know that much about you right away because of you being a particular background or nationality, they've already put you in a position where they find you to be the enemy. How can you have that level of trust in people who murder your people and slaughter your people, and they have a badge that they use so they can abuse their authority and power over people who are unarmed and helpless? And so we see this happening all around us, and I know what my eyes see, that none of this is right. None of it is fair. And there's going to be a time of reckoning. I know that some people may look at that statement as, oh, is that a threat? That's not a personal threat. It's just a reality. People are going to get tired. It's the same thing that happened in the 92 riots when Rodney King was brutally attacked and they let all those police officers go and they acquitted them, there was a riot. And it was a costly riot, but a lot of times people get tired of being manhandled or being wrestled to the ground, having bones broken, people lying, people pinning weapons and drugs on you that aren't yours to make you out to be a criminal when you never were, so that they can look like they shot you for a reason. And the same people that we claim are good officers are not really using their badge of authority to protect and serve everyone. So some of these officers are not who they are supposed to be or for the community. They are just as bad as some of the criminals that are out there that are they're chasing. So I think that people really need to evaluate who some of these officers are, because they're using their power of authority to kill people and murder people, and they know they have a lot of people in their corner, good lawyers, people that are protectors, that have this wall and shield around these officers, and the bad ones are also protected. So it's unfortunate that there are good officers, but those good officers are far and few. So unfortunately, we have some people that have died at the hands, that were unarmed, died at the hands of officers who really probably should have been reprimanded in a more of a harsher way, where they did some jail time, or more than some jail time, maybe gotten punished for the crimes that they've committed. So how can you say that you can't see the wrong in this? So I see a lot of wrong in this, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of protests. There's going to be an uprising, because look at our government and look at the way things are going. I just recently heard that Donald Trump's supposed to be under investigation. I don't know how true that is, but I wouldn't really deny that that would be happening. But anyway, it's sad what happened to this young man and to many other young men and many other young women of color dying at the hands of rogue cops who don't have any self-control, and who all they see us as is an enemy, someone that they can use their badge. And that's about all I can say, is that it's unfortunate that the real decent cops have to be subjected to the bad cops that are out there. And so it's unfortunate that we had a situation more recently where another unarmed black male was murdered at the hands of another police officer. And so this is what we're looking at now, and it's sad because we have people that are still in denial, and they don't want to admit that there's something really wrong with this picture here. We have a lot of young black people who are being accused of crimes they hadn't committed. They're being killed for petty things that they hadn't done. And I always say that black people are always, sometimes some black people are the easy scapegoat, or they're the easy one to say, well, they all look like, maybe he did it, maybe she did it. And we get that a lot. And even in the workplace, when something is stolen, they tend to look at the person that is of African American descent, automatically think that maybe you had something to do with something missing. And so we tend to get blamed for things we didn't do. And we're always the fall person, or the fall guy, or the scapegoat in some issues. And you'll have people who are racist, and they'll say, oh, you just want to be the victim. And really, to be honest, unfortunately, we wind up being victimized because somebody has racism in their heart, or they're just mean-spirited, or they don't really see us as human, and so they don't treat us like human beings. And there's a lot of issues going on, and I realize that other people of other nationalities are wrestled and rambled to the ground by the police. But lately, we've been seeing a lot of black people, young black people particularly, that have been killed or they've been wrongly jailed. And so there's something really, really wrong with this picture that has been happening. And we have people who will go to the full extent of the law to seek justice, and the justice system doesn't work in their favor. So I just want to know what some people think about this, because I was hearing that they were going to have these body cameras. And it's funny because for a moment there, they were showing police with body cameras showing how they would arrest a criminal or some or would-be suspect, and it was looking more like they were trying to find an alibi to say, well, see what he did? This is what we go through every day. It's hard being a cop. And a lot of times it's sort of like they're in the defense, not really acknowledging the fact that you do have some plenty of bad apples among you, that maybe they're probably pretty much calling the shots. And so the good people that are in law enforcement, they have to stay quiet because they want to keep their job. They don't want to get fired, and they too don't want to have something pinned on them. So they feel like they're sort of like in that code of conduct, but then also there's that wall of let's not say anything against the other officer that's doing wrong, because then we might get hurt or we might look like we're the ones that are bad. And I know that's probably what's going on, and that's the reason why they won't speak out. And it's sad because this is where we're at. We're in this time where people are being killed for no reason at all. They have their hands up, they don't have any weapons on them, they're being shot down like dogs in the street. And this is wrong. Even with the cameras, we have some officers who won't even turn on the cameras, and then when they do, they turn it on when they want to turn it on, or they pin something on the person to make it look like they're the criminal. So I say to you that I think this is wrong. I don't support bad cops. I don't support cops that are killing black people that are unarmed, that haven't done anything, and using their badge of authority to push the limits, to abuse people and to maim people or kill people and murder people. And then you have these high profile cases, and then they walk scot-free and they don't get any recourse from what they've done. I think it's all wrong, it's all bad, and there's a conspiracy behind it. I believe so. I believe some people are protecting them so that the bad people can walk free, and it's unfair. It's the same thing that happened in the 92 riots when all those officers were acquitted for beating the crap out of Rodney King, and everybody saw it, and we were supposed to sit there and accept that. And so this is the thing that we're seeing again, but this time it's not one black person. There are many black people that are being murdered, and it's unfair and it's wrong. And I think somebody should do something where they should speak out and admit the truth that this isn't wrong. I'm not going to support this. I'm not going to say, oh, they're all good. They're not that many bad cops. There's a lot of good cops out there. See, and they want you to say that because they don't want you to see the big picture of what's going on here. And sad because people who aren't black, they can easily say, oh, well, that's not true. I know some good cops. Yeah, because your kids are not being murdered. They're not being shot down in the street like dogs. So it's easy for you to say that. It's unfair, and it's insensitive, and it's not right, and this is not American whatsoever. So anybody calls this American and all this stuff about people spouting off about God and everything, God works for those people who are fake and phony. The God you serve is not a good person. He's just as phony as some of these cops that are going around shooting black people. It's not fair, and I don't believe in any of it. I don't support it. Yeah, there are plenty of gods, but not all of them are good ones. So I don't know what you think about this, but you can add, your comment. But I don't support any of this. I feel sorry for Philando Castile. Thanks for listening.